Bandits kill 3, abduct 8 others in Kaduna. Federal government grounds Dana air operations after Lagos airport incident. FRSC proposes jail terms for drivers in road accidents. On the foreign scene, report shows over 282 million suffered acute food insecurity in 2023. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. And we'll begin with a sad development in Kaduna State, where bandits have again killed at least 3 people and abducted 8 others in a fresh attack on Hayan Habuja village of Kakangi ward in Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. The latest attack comes just 5 days after 23 people were killed by bandits at Ngowan Danko community near Dogon Dawa district in the eastern part of Birnin-Gwari local government area. Police authorities and the Kaduna state government are yet to comment on the incident. However, the Secretary General of Birnin-Gwari Emirate Progressive Union, Abdurrashid Abarshi, said the bandits attacked the village at about 3 p.m. on Tuesday after they had camped at a nearby spot on Monday night to perfect the operation. He said 2 persons were shot dead on the spot, while 4 others were taken away by the bandits. He explained that the bandits on their way out of Hayan Habuja village killed another villager who was fetching firewood and also abducted 4 other persons. We'll go over now to join our reporter in Kaduna State, Bello Musa, who is joining us via phone call to give us an update. Thank you so much, Bello Musa, for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
You're welcome.
Now, I'd like for you to give us an update on the details of this attack and the official response from the authorities.
As you all know, the attack happened at Hayan Abuja village at Kakangi ward in Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State on Tuesday, where 3 people were killed and about 8 others kidnapped. According to the locals in the community, one of the people killed, among the 3 people that were killed, is a vigilante leader in the community. Report has it that he was targeted because they tortured him before they killed him. The area experienced 3 consecutive attacks in 2 weeks, and the last one was at Ungwandonko, close to Dogondawa community, where 23 people were killed by the attackers. Up to this moment, there was no official statement from the state government in regards to the attack. And I couldn't reach the state police public relations officer, ASP Mansour Hassan, on phone for comments on the sad incident.
I know, Bello, I know you have stated that there has been 3 consecutive attacks in 2 weeks. I'd like to hear from you very briefly. What can you tell us about the security challenges, more on security challenges in Birnin-Gwari area of the state?
Well, Birnin-Gwari has been facing attacks by bandits for over a decade now. The place has become very volatile, maybe due to the nature of the forest in that axis, which traversed Niger, Katsina, Zamfara State, up to neighboring countries like Niger, Benin Republic, and Chad. Most of these communities had to reach area before the security operatives' response to distress calls could be very difficult, though there are security operatives in the area making efforts to protect the communities from attacks by these bandits. But most of these communities are hard to reach, especially by the security agencies.
Bello, I know that usually after these kidnappings, a demand for ransom is being made. I'd like to hear from you. Do we know whether any demand has been made so far?
Well, as we speak, according to locals, the abductors are yet to contact the family of the victims for ransom. And the committee is still tense as people don't know what will happen next.
Okay, thank you so much, Bello Musa, for that insight and update on the latest attack in Birnin-Gwari local government, Hayan Habuja village of Kakangi ward in Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. We do hope to pick up this conversation with you as soon as there is subsequent information regarding this incident. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
My pleasure.
More on security matters. The Nigerian Air Force on Wednesday said several terrorists were killed during a joint operation by the air component of Operation Hadin Kai and troops of the Nigerian Army. The service also said their hideouts in Damasak and Mobar local government areas of Borno State were equally destroyed. A statement by its Director, Public Relations and Information, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gapwet, noted that the terrorists who had attempted to attack troops of Sector 4 of the MNJTF at Lada, a border town between Niger Republic and Nigeria, subsequently fled across the border into Nigeria. He added that the fleeing terrorists, who were on 8 motorcycles, were later tracked to 2 locations in Zari village, about 28 kilometers east of Damasak and Mala Alide in the Mobar areas of Borno State. Still in Borno State, the state governor, Babagana Zulum, is of the opinion that to end insurgency in the northeast region, a military base should be established in Sambisa Forest and around the Lake Chad Basin and Mandara Mountains. He stated this when the House of Representatives Committee on Army visited him at the Borno State Government House in Maiduguri. He also urged the Army to provide security support and grant access to farmers to engage in their agricultural activities, stressing that it is the only source of livelihood and business opportunities for the communities. The governor, who wants the army to establish military base in Sambisa Forest and the Lake Chad region, explained that ending insurgency in the northeast means an end to insecurity in the country.
Content in an IDP camp is not sustainable. That's increasing prostitution in the IDP camps. That's increasing progression without care in the IDP camps. That's increasing drug abuse in the IDP camps. And there is a donor fatigue in the IDP camp. Donors are providing food and non-food items before.
We continue to support the National Assembly as we are working tirelessly in recent times to see the best that we could do to provide all the legal and regulatory frameworks to be able to allow the military and indeed the army to be able to do justice.
We move over now to the south region of the country, where the traditional ruler of El Kingdom, who turned himself in after the defense headquarters declared him and 7 others wanted over the killing of 17 military personnel in Okwama, Clement Ikolo has appreciated President Tinubu for his release. The monarch thanked the president for his intervention and other well-meaning Nigerians for their support and concern while in custody of the military. The monarch stated this when he visited the Delta State governor in company of other Delta State traditional rulers in Asaba. The Delta State governor advised him to unite the people of his kingdom and maintain peace for sustainable development.
Your intervention not only reaffirms your commitment to the value of justice and fairness, but also underscores your resolve in upholding the rule of law in our great nation. I am deeply saddened by the loss of our gallant members of the armed forces and the untold hardship and displacement suffered by the Okwama community as a result of the actions of unknown elements that must be fished out and made to face the wrath of the law.
Let your people be united. Unite with your people, because you cannot rule outside your kingdom. You cannot be king in London. You can in UK. You cannot. You are beginning of office. Unite with your people, so that the innocent people will not suffer.
And to developments in the northwest region, The Kaduna State House of Assembly has written to the state's Ministry of Finance demanding details of financial transactions under former Governor Nasir El-Rufai's administration between 2015 and 2023. This is in connection with the State Assembly's probe of all finances, loans and contract projects awarded under the El-Rufai administration. The probe by the State Assembly comes weeks after the incumbent governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, lamented that El-Rufai left him a huge debt profile. Sani, who spoke during a town hall meeting in Kaduna State, said he inherited a lean treasury, adding that he could not pay workers' salaries. The revelation by Sani generated reactions from several quarters, including El-Rufai's son, Bashir, who took to his social media handle to accuse his father's successor of shying away from his responsibility. Last Tuesday at plenary, the Kaduna State House of Assembly resolved to probe El-Rufai's administration and therefore set up a fact-finding committee. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has approached the Court of Appeal in Abuja to withdraw the appeal it filed to set aside the interim injunction that barred it from arresting the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, for trial. The anti-graft agency, in its notice of discontinuance dated April 22, said its decision to terminate further proceedings on the appeal was based on the fact that the initial order the Kogi State High Court made in favor of the former governor has been overtaken by events. Besides, the Commission admitted that the appeal it brought against the said interim order was filed outside the time allowed by the law. It will be recalled that the embattled former governor had, in a bid to stop his arrest, approached the Kogi State High Court to enforce his fundamental rights. The court, in a ruling it delivered on February 9, issued an interim order that restrained the EFCC from inviting, arresting or prosecuting the applicant over the subject matter of the charge against him, pending the determination of the suit. The Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, has directed the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to suspend Dana Air a day after one of the airline's planes skidded off the Murtala Mohammed Airport Lagos runway. The minister also ordered a comprehensive audit of the airline, encompassing all aspects of safety protocols, maintenance procedures, and financial health to ensure full compliance with the aviation sector's regulations. In a letter to the NCAA, Director General titled Immediate Suspension of Dana Air Pending Safety and Financial Health Audit, the minister said the move was necessary to ensure safety and regulatory compliance. The incident on Tuesday had led the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria to temporarily shut down Railway 18L36R at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos for flight operations. The runway was reopened on Wednesday morning after FAN's emergency response team evacuated and recovered the aircraft from the site. FAN's Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Obiageli Ora, announced this in a statement. She said, subsequently, comprehensive clearing operations were conducted to ensure the runway was free of any foreign object debris that could impede flight safety. The Federal Road Safety Corps Marshal Dauda Bayo has suggested imposing jail terms on drivers responsible for road accidents. Bayo made the proposal in response to recent avoidable crashes in Oyo, Kano, and Kaduna. Bayo, who spoke at a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, stated that the FRSC has urged all state governments to prosecute these drivers rigorously for violating road laws. He emphasized the need for stringent penalties, including jail terms, without the option of fines, to deter reckless driving. The Court Martial said the FRSC was intensifying collaboration with the judiciary across all 36 states to expedite the trial of drivers involved in road accidents. Bayu noted that all offenders will face legal consequences to deter others from driving recklessly. And on to matters of politics, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election, Peter Obi, has called on government at all levels to cut waste and channel the funds to pulling people out of poverty. Obi, who was addressing a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday, said this could be achieved by tackling challenges in education and health sectors. The former Anambra State governor also appealed to wealthy Nigerians to join him in providing water and sanitation, among other amenities, to Nigerians.
I'm appealing to governments at all levels, federal, state, and local governments. We're in crisis. It is time to cut all waste, put all resources in this challenge of pulling the poor people out of poverty.
And on to the House of Assembly. The House of Representatives Joint Committees on Environment, Climate Change, Petroleum Upstream and Downstream have begun a probe into the activities of oil companies and their impact on frontline communities. The aim, according to the committees, is to ensure that the voices of these communities are heard and their concerns addressed. The report.
Oil spillage in the oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta has been a recurring decimal that deserves urgent national attention from the government and oil companies as well, due to the devastating effect on the environment. Oftentimes, these communities suffer environmental degradation that affects not only their farmlands but also their means of livelihood. To this end, the House of Representatives Joint Committees decided through a House resolution to investigate the causes and effect of the degradation and its impact on affected frontline communities, with a view to preferring lasting solutions that will address the menace. This much stated by the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, was represented by Deputy Minority Whip George Ozodinobi and the House Chairman of Environmental, Pondi Gbajabo.
We must ensure that the voices of those most affected by the environmental damage are heard and respected. We have to listen to the fears that are faced by the frontline communities, indigenous people, and marginalized groups who usually bear the brunt of environmental injustice. It is therefore for this reason that the House mandated the committees of environment, petroleum resources upstream, petroleum resources downstream, and climate change to investigate the environmental damage in oil-producing communities caused by
environmental damage in oil-producing communities still persists unabated. It is therefore incumbent on us as representatives of the people to identify the erring organizations, hold those responsible, accountable, and take decisive action to mitigate the living condition of our community.
Out of the 35 companies invited for the hearing, only 4 appeared, prompting the House to adjourn sitting. But before that, the Chairman House Committee on Climate Change used the opportunity to harp on the importance of understanding the dangers of ignoring the impact of climate change, using the recent rain disaster that occurred in Dubai as a case study.
We see what happened recently in Dubai. We saw it. And we see the extreme temperature even here in Abuja. We all see it every day. So even the caliber of those who are here today, I also think that the chief executives of the companies should also be here. Let us engage each other and agree on the way forward. Because 2050 is roughly how many? 26 years away from this year and also. And if we don't do something, I can assure you, what happened in Dubai will be a child's play.
The committee thereafter adjourned to the 8th of May 2024 to give invited companies more time to forward their documents for proper perusing by members of the committee.
This is the News Hour on Trust Television. Still ahead. Safeguarding gaps identified as a major factor responsible for bullying in Nigerian schools. We'll bring you insights and details of this story and more after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. But if you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Bandits kill 3, kidnap 8 others in Kaduna. Federal government grounds Dana air operations after Lagos airport incident. On to more stories. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has warned that it has improved its technology check for those engaging in all forms of examination malpractices. JAMB also said a father was arrested writing the exams for his son during the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Speaking in Kaduna State on Wednesday, the JAMB registrar, Ishak Oloyede, who inspected the UTME centers in Kaduna, expressed satisfaction over the 2024 examination, which had 1.94 million students. He, however, frowned at few cases of impersonation, adding that some people now have multiple national identity number, which the examination body would take up with the Identification Management Body. He said JAMB needs support of highly populated states like Lagos to build mega CBT centers like that of Kaduna, which accommodates 4,000 candidates per day. Residents of Makodi, the Benue State capital, have called on governments at all levels, as well as parents, to do more to reduce the carnage of street children in the state. This followed the continuous rise in the number of unaccompanied minors on the streets of urban settlements in Benue State. Trust TV's Jimmy Azande reports that these children are recruited into street hawking, prostitution, and child labor, with many of them trafficked to unknown destinations. The report.
Child labor, which manifests in acts such as street trading, hacking, and other forms of violations, have over time pushed many Benue kids to the streets. However, in recent times, the cost of living may have exacerbated the situation in the state, as the number has witnessed a noticeable rise.
For most of these things on the street, into hawking and prostitution, one, there are factors. The factors are this: a situation whereby a man has 2 to 3 wives in a harsh economy like this. Tendency for children paying their school fees, looking after their welfare is difficult. So they go into prostitution, hawking, hard labor, so on and so forth.
Residents are alleging that the government is not doing enough to control the rising population in Nigeria, as well as create an avenue for parents to have the resources to take care of their dependents.
The poverty that we are roaming around makes children, a lot of children in this country or in this state are roaming street by street by street, because government is not checkmating our population. Government is not checkmating the food that can produce in the state to feed us. So some young men are not capable of feeding their children. That's why when they have the process of marriage, they cannot even feed their wife, not to talk of children. So children go about going on the street, some engage in the minor job.
Many believe the government can change the narrative if the right policies are put in place to protect children who are the future of the country.
One of the things we must also look at again is that we must ensure that governments sanction parents who allow their children to embark on hawking, because in most cases these children are exposed to very bad situations and which they cannot control because they are still very young at that age. And I think that by the time government initiate the process of sanctioning parents, they will be able to learn from that perspective. And again, I also want to believe that they should increase sensitization among the publics.
Child rights advocates are saying that leaving the kids on the streets is a ticking time bomb that the Nigerian government needs to avoid. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Education stakeholders are calling on the Nigerian government to utilize the power of the internet to promote a reading culture among youth. The call stems from the background that Nigeria ranks poorly in global reading culture, prompting concerns among experts. Trust TV Habiba Tajai has more.
An effective culture reading is crucial for learning. Yet, Nigeria struggles with low reading engagement among its youths, a situation that negatively impacts academic performance. According to the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education, 38% of Nigerians are illiterate. Stakeholders attribute the decline in reading culture to increased phone and social media usage. Library expert Suleiman Abdulgafar emphasized the importance of reading for youth and students.
At the moment, like you rightly said, it's really low. Some of the challenges that is creating this situation includes the social media. Social media in terms of the digital device, there are a lot of content online. People are only interested in laughing, and so you see people following funny skits online. They're following comedy shows online, and people are not interested in reading. Also, the advent of the TV, the television stations, a lot of drama series online, a lot of action movies, and what have you. And so you'll find people of reading age glued to those things as against picking up books.
But with the purpose of these books, the student come to the library, borrow the book, take it home, use it during the weekend and read this. Some of these books might really be helpful to them, and they might give them the opportunity to know what has happened, where it happened, and how the thing went on in the past.
Education administrator highlights the benefits of reading culture initiatives in schools.
Literature books in terms of poetry, prose and drama that they also go through, but we don't want them to only read those. So Gifted Hands by Richard Brands, by Ben Carson is part of the books that some we have in the library. We want them to read about known authors, not just for the curriculum, because those ones have a lot of lessons and people make a lot of allusions to them, such that they will understand the historical basis for some of those references.
Some students underscore the value gained from organized reading programs.
There are lots of activities apart from class activities that we indulge in. Here are some of them: quiz competitions, spelling bee competitions, debate competitions, article writing, and I recently just wrote an article about the Nigerian economy.
Advent of AI, the coming of AI, actually reduces the reading culture, because students can be given assignments to go home and do it, but instead of actually going through books and reading the books, they would rather go to an AI like ChatGPT and all and just put the prompt and get the answer.
Stakeholders encourage parents to collaborate with schools to educate children on responsible phone usage in order to foster a culture of reading among youth adults. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still on education, the bullying incident at Lead British International School, Abuja, that went viral on social media has once again been brought to the fore on the need to ensure the safety of students in schools. The incident, as well as those of Sylvester Oromoni and Karen Akbaga, again raised questions about the safety of students in boarding schools. In both cases, the tussle between parents seeking justice and schools' management ended in favor of the schools. In the latest incident, the management of Lead British International School, Abuja, has shut down the institution in order to investigate the incident. However, to prevent bullying in Nigerian schools, these SGBV advocates have called for strict anti-bullying policies in Nigerian schools as a way forward. Take a look.
So in FTT, for instance, there's the response team to sexual and gender-based violence, but it should be holistic. It should not only be when it is a woman or a girl that is abused that these things are activated. So we should have systems in place to address, ready to address possible violations or possible occurrences. And why am I saying this? I've been talking about safeguarding. A proper safeguarding formula, applied to every school. There should be instituted people who have safeguarding roles. It's all about safeguarding, whether it's for sexual violations, whether it is for bullying, whether it's for whatever it is. It's all about the safety of vulnerable persons on facilities, and it is a priority. It should be a basic prerequisite before any school, any institution whatsoever gets an operational license.
Recent times, we've had reports of a student who is bullied to death, or students who are even bullied to death, and we've done nothing. The government has not done anything. Parents have done nothing. Even schools have not done anything about them. So I urge the government to put in place a strict anti-bullying, policy, and task all schools in Nigeria to have an office, a unit, or a department where bullying can be reported to. And I'm also urging schools, to raise awareness about the harmful effects of bullying and implement policies that includes severe punishments, for bullies. I believe that will serve as a deterrent to others, and with that we can curb bullying in our society.
Vice President Kashim Shettima says President Bola Tinubu is determined to improve the quality of life of the average Nigerian through policies and programs designed to harness the potential of the country's vast population. He was represented on Wednesday at the State House, Abuja, by the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Ali Pate, at the launch of the UN World Population Report 2024. Kehinde Amodu reports.
The theme of the 2024 State of the World Population Report is Interwoven Lives, Threads of Hope, with a special focus on ending inequalities in sexual and reproductive health and rights. It is a sad reality that there has been little progress around the world in this sensitive area since COVID-19.
After the impressive gains made in combating maternal mortality, annual reductions in the number of maternal deaths have flatlined, and COVID is only a part of it. Since 2016, the world has made no progress in saving women from preventable deaths during pregnancy and childbirth, and most of these deaths are indeed preventable.
Nigerian officials are in sync that it is disgraceful in this day and age that the country throws behind in issues of maternal mortality and other health issues.
We must fulfill the promises to accelerate actions in Nigeria and ensure no woman dies giving birth. We must ensure that girls stay in school instead of becoming mothers at tender ages. Provide access to quality healthcare and services everywhere, including accelerated access to family planning as fundamental for managing our population.
It's unacceptable. As a matter of fact, it's a shame that in Nigeria today we're still talking about women dying needlessly from childbirth. Talking about stunting, malnutrition. All those things are very unnecessary, but we need to get our acts right. The Honourable Minister has assured that we're putting the pieces together, and sooner than later, we'll smile again as a country.
By 2050, it is projected that Nigeria may have the third largest population in the world. Its population may turn out to be a blessing or a curse, depending on how the country plans for this eventuality.
If we invest in our population, youths especially, so that we turn them to good, working force that will work for the country. Some we export and they will bring foreign reserve for us. But if we don't invest in them, in health, in education, and so many other things, it becomes a disaster for us.
While the focus of this launch is on ending inequalities in sexual and reproductive health and rights, Nigeria, in addition, must embrace its own reality. It must take urgent action to improve the quality of lives and livelihood of its growing population. There is beauty in numbers, but government must make an extra effort to ensure that those numbers are qualitative enough to make a difference. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Journalists have been advised to adapt data sourcing as a technique that will enable them report complex stories that will be insightful and precise. Stakeholders in the media industry gave the advice at a 3-day workshop on advanced data journalism for Northeast journalists in Maiduguri, organized by Daily Trust Foundation with support from the MacArthur Foundation. Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi has more.
The workshop, which brought participants across the Northeast region, was aimed at training journalists on how to use data sourcing, infographics, and other advanced digital tools in reporting and writing stories in simpler formats using computer-assisted reporting skills. The chairman of Daily Trust Foundation, Biliya Bala, said the workshop plans to enhance credible and relevant journalism in Nigeria, especially investigative journalism.
Since 2017, the MacArthur Foundation became interested in improving the capacity of journalists with the ultimate end of holding the government responsible for its actions or inactions. In short, good governance. If journalists could hold the government responsible, then possibly there will always be deviance, but most of the times there would be accountability.
The Borno State Commissioner of Information, while commending the organizers, said it considers journalists as partners in development and advised participants to put into practice the knowledge acquired from the training.
The journalists should be mindful of bias reporting. That is the aspect where we have problem with government. Once it is treated, once the report is balanced, you will not have, problem with the government.
Participants were trained on the basics of extracting, converting and analyzing data using relevant tools and conversion to infographics and visual data.
I believe is going to take me to greater level in terms of embracing digital experience in putting out my reporting, and it will also help me on how to search and make use of data in terms of reporting some of the government activities, not just quoting figures, but finding out how those figures match.
I've learned that now we have some applications that are going to ease our work, like such as AI and the rest, Grammarly application, and we will now know how to use data to write a story. There is what they call the computer-assisted reporting.
Organizers expect that by the end of the 3-day training, the knowledge gained will change the style of reporting with time. Beatrice Kurusi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
The National Broadcasting Commission says it will consider the review of the 2.5% gross revenue remittance imposed on broadcast stations in Nigeria by the Commission. While speaking during a meeting with key stakeholders of broadcasting stations in Nigeria, the newly appointed Director General of the Commission, Charles Ebuebu, explained that the move is to meet emerging economic challenges in the country. He also said the NBC management will review the NBC code in totality while assuring stakeholders present that the new management is committed to the welfare and interests of all broadcast stations in Nigeria. The NBC DG frowned at the court ruling in January 2024, which stopped the NBC from imposing sanctions and fines on broadcast stations and described it an anomaly. He stated that while the Commission is appealing the court ruling, it remains steadfast in its mandate. The DG enlisted formulation of comprehensive policies that support the growth of broadcast stations as well as promotion of communication and dialogue as some of the core values of his administration. Stakeholders have converged at the residence of the late former governor of Kaduna State, Balarabe Musa, to honor the departed statesman on the 3rd anniversary of his passing. The gathering centered their tribute on his contributions to the development of not only Kaduna State, but Nigeria as a whole. Trustee Bella Musa has details.
While alive, the gate to the residence of Balarabe Musa was always wide open, giving access to Talakawas to meet him. 3 years after his demise, the family maintains this tradition of the late governor. Family members, politicians, and civil rights activists visited the modest house of the late former governor to remember what they call his egalitarian leadership style.
Being him alive and not alive, economically and financially is the same. Because when he is alive, whatever he earns, it goes out to the Talaka, not inside the house. Maybe 20, 15% or 8% goes into the house, while the others goes outside. So he died and left 2,700 naira in his bank accounts. I can remember when he was alive, he was able to take care of school fees partially or usually, even though there are some cases since when I was in my primary and secondary school of driving me away from school because of lack of prompt payment of school fees.
Some of the people at the residence described Balarabe Musa and Chief Gani Fawemi as champions of democracy in Nigeria.
In our political dispensation as of today, these two people, Malam Abdelkader Balarabe Musa and Gani Fawemi, the democracy we are enjoying today was out of the hard work of these particular two persons. If any political party is enjoying democracy today, it is the hard work of Malam Balarabe Musa and Gani Fawemi. They wanted a society that everybody will be treated with dignity of human life. Everybody will live as God has created us to live. That is, nobody will go to bed without food, and nobody will go to bed with food that he cannot eat in the next 100 years.
Considering the challenges in the country and the need to better the nation, Kasim Balarabe Musa calls for constitutional reforms in Nigeria.
We need a constitutional reform in this country because the constitutional does not give a good atmosphere for quality policies. As you can see, all the dependence and allocation and everything comes from the center. We have states and regions that need to be on their own to explore and control their resources in order to enhance and promote development. It should also discourage corruption.
The gathering offered prayers for the continuous repose of the souls of Balarabe Musa and Chief Gani Fawemi for their selfless contributions to the development of democracy and the country as well. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The federal government has revoked an additional 924 dormant mineral licenses with immediate effect. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who disclosed this during a press briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, said the revoked mineral licenses include 528 exploration licenses, 20 mining leases, 101 quarry licenses, and 273 small-scale mining licenses. Speaking during the briefing, Alake lamented the high rate of license racketeering as well as dormant mineral licenses and assured of the ministry's unrelenting effort to get into the root cause and correct the lapses. He added that The ministry had formulated a policy to enable those whose licenses have been revoked and are interested in reinstating such licenses to get back into the system. He explained that such persons must make restitution to the federal government through the payment of fines. The mining licenses reinstatement Alake fixed the fine for large-scale companies at 10 million naira, while small-scale mining licenses were put at 7.5 million naira, and exploration licenses were put at 5 million naira, respectively. The minister gave 30 days for interested parties to come up to the ministry through the mining cadastral office or risk losing their licenses. Let's now join Yusuf Akogu for some business news.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. Nigeria foreign reserve has declined by $2.16 billion between March 18 and April 15, 2024. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria show that external reserves reached a 7-year low of $32.29 billion from $34.45 billion. The move has raised questions about whether the Central Bank of Nigeria should reduce the amount of dollars it has to sustain the naira, despite having previously promised to allow the currency to float freely. Based on the most recent data available from the CBN, liquid reserves dropped by 5.6% since March 18, when the naira began its recovery from record levels against the dollar. This is the largest decline in a comparable period since April 2020. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, on Monday endorsed the consolidated guidelines for the implementation of fiscal incentives for the oil and gas sector. The move is aimed at enhancing the Nigerian oil and gas sector global competitiveness while stimulating economic growth. Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Olu Vahijan, said these new measures have been designed to deliver a competitive internal rate of return for oil and gas projects and attract over $10 billion in new investment within the next 12 to 18 months. She said this also underscored Nigeria's commitment to reaching its long-term oil production target of 4 million barrels per day, while enhancing the reliability of gas supply to boost export earnings and fuel Nigeria's industrialization. Point of sale transactions value witnessed a downturn in Nigeria for the first quarter of 2024, registering a 225.73 billion naira drop when compared to the corresponding quarter of the previous year. This significant decline marks a 7.94% fall in the use of POS system for transactions within the country. This represents a significant drop of 73.81 million from the figure recorded in the first quarter of 2023. Nigerian equities market closed negative as profit taken by local investors hit various trading counters. Let's see how it went down today. The top losing equities at the close of business today, we have MTN Nigeria, the biggest loser for today, 10% to close at 201 naira and 60 kobo per share. Transco Hot down 10% as well, 87 naira and 93 kobo per share. It also ended the trade. Oando Nigeria PLC down 9.90% to close at 9 naira and 10 kobo per share. Of course, this has dragged down the market by 1.2%. A volume of trade 395.751 million shares, value at 9.576 billion naira in a days of 7,907 did exchanges among investors today. Of course, we have some top trading equities that did so well today. Jitco did 81.407 million shares, Zenith Bank Nigeria PLC 46.155 million shares, and of course UBA 41.599 million shares. It also traded at the close of business today. We have some equities that recorded gain despite the negative closure of the market. Nimet Insurance leading that table with 10% to close at 1 naira and 98 kobo per share. TPLC up there at 10% as well. Suno Assurance also up there as well. The 10% again, 1 naira and 21 kobo per share. It ended at the close of business today. That's the highlight of the stock trading as it went down this Wednesday on the floor of NJS. Let's see the global stock market for today. turn to the FX market now. Naira dipped further on Wednesday despite CBN intervention in the FX market. Let's see today's market data. Brent crude oil prices steady on Wednesday after rallying in the previous session on a surprise fall in the U.S. crude stocks and a drop in business activities in the world's largest oil consumer. And the London market, European Brent sells for $88 per barrel. For the pearl basket, price steadies at $87 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akugu.
Yusuf Akogu there with some business news. Thank you so much. And now away from Nigeria, over 282 million people in 59 countries and territories suffered acute food insecurity in 2023, according to the 2024 Global Report on Food Crisis. These numbers represent a 24 million increase in comparison to the previous years. The report revealed that conflict, extreme weather events, and economic shocks are the main drivers behind acute hunger worldwide. It is authored by the Global Network Against Food Crisis, an alliance of humanitarian and development actors launched by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations with other partners in 2016. The 5 countries with the largest number of people facing high levels of acute food insecurity are Democratic Republic of the Congo, Nigeria, the Sudan, Afghanistan, and Ethiopia, while Palestine, South Sudan, Yemen, the Syrian Arab Republic, and Haiti have the largest share of analyzed population facing high levels of hunger, according to the report. The director of the FAO Office of Emergencies and Resilience, Rain Paulsen, said one of the report's takeaways is that the percentage of the population that faced hunger crisis in 2023 continues to be persistently high over the years.
Single most significant driver of acute food insecurity is conflict and violence. This was the primary driver in 20 of the 59 countries and represented in absolute terms the key driver for the largest number of people in acute food insecurity. The second driver then relates to extreme weather events. We've had the hottest year on record. The El Nino phenomenon, just to name one of the factors, has been a key driver. And economic shocks was the third most important driver. And again, here I think it's important not to view these 3 drivers in isolation. What we see is that often, typically, these 3 have been mutually reinforcing and together exacerbated the acute food insecurity situation.
For some sports news, let's now join Emmanuel Fashami.
Head coach of Nigeria's Under-17 women's team, the Flamingos, Olowokere Bankole, has named a list of 25 players for the forthcoming Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier match against Burkina Faso. The team will square up against Burkina Faso on 11th of May 2024 in Burkina Faso. Recall that Nigerian Flamingos finished third in the 2022 edition held in India after beating Germany 3-2 on penalties to win bronze. The 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, being the 8th edition, will be staged in the Caribbean nation of Dominican Republic. The final roster of athletes representing Nigeria at the forthcoming World Relays in the Bahamas has been made public by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN. World champion and American athlete Tobiloba Amusan will accompany Favour Ofele, Omolara Ogunmakinju to the Caribbean nation. The others are Consider Ekanem, Sheyi Ogunlewe, Israel Okon, Alaba Akitola, Carlington Anunagba, Gossin Ogene Brume, and Udodi Onwuzirike. Also to represent the nation will be Chidi Okeze, Sikiru Adeyemi, Dubem Amenem, Ezekiel Nathaniel, Samson Nathaniel, Dubem Nwachuku, and Samuel Ogazi. For the first time since Beijing 2008, the team will aim to rank among the top 14 finishers in order to guarantee a lane in Paris. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashini.
There you have it. You're up to speed with some of the latest emerging and re-emerging stories across Nigeria and beyond. And with that, we've come to the end of the news hour tonight on Trust Television. Remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. On behalf of myself and the production team, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.